Hello everyone, welcome to Recipes Galore. We're going to get started with, we're going to make some jambalaya today. Now, first let me tell you that I am allergic to peppers. So two of the ingredients I'm going to mention, but I don't have them because I don't use them because I'm allergic to them. But feel free, as always, to experiment in your kitchen and do it the way you like to do it. Jalapeno pepper. You're going to need a jalapeno pepper and you're going to need it seeded and diced into smaller pieces. You're also going to need cayenne pepper, a fourth a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can use the flakes, the red pepper flakes, or you can use the cayenne pepper. Okay, so the other ingredients you're going to need are 3 tablespoons of olive oil, but you're going to split that because you're going to need it in 2 different sections. So 1.5 tablespoons and 1.5 tablespoons. You're going to need two parts of this 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And you're going to need 2 chicken breasts, 2 boneless chicken breasts, but you're going to need them cut up into little bite sizes. You're going to need 1 pound of andouille sausage and sliced into thin slices. You're going to need 2 ribs of celery, diced, and 1 onion, medium onion, white onion, diced. Oops, almost spilled that. You're going to need 4 cloves of garlic. And you're going to need that minced. I like to always use my microplane and mince it as I'm cooking. So that's why it's not minced. You're going to need some crushed tomatoes. I couldn't find crushed tomatoes, so I got some diced tomatoes. And when I open the can, I'm going to use my immersion blender and create crushed tomatoes. There's always a way of getting around things in your kitchen. Now, you're going to need a 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. Now, this is not dried thyme. I got the fresh thyme, and so I just chopped it up finely. I like fresh ingredients over the dried stuff. Anytime I can find it, I will use the fresh thyme. And what did I do with it? There it is. A bay leaf. You're only going to need 1, but you're going to take this out. You're not going to eat that. Okay, so you're going to need 1 pound of raw shrimp. You can use large, medium, or small, but they need to be deveined and the tails off. I use some small shrimp, and what I have in here, I put my shrimp in a bag, and I put my Cajun seasoning, slap your mama, on there, and I'm letting it soak. So the flavors, because the shrimp goes in at the very last minute, and I have found that it really doesn't have a lot of flavor when you serve it because it goes in at the last minute and you let it cook for the last 5 minutes. So it hasn't had time to soak up all that flavor. Now the chicken and the andouille sausages, you put them in at the last minute too, but they seem to soak it up quicker than the shrimp. So that's why I soak my shrimp in I marinate my shrimp in a little plastic bag, and I just lightly sprinkle some slap your mama on there. Now, you're also going to need some thinly cut okra, which is about 1 cup of thinly cut okra. That's going to go in at the last minute. You're going to need some salt and pepper. When you finish cooking, you taste it, see what you need, and if you need a little salt, a little pepper, you add that at the end. And you're going to need 3 to 4 cups of chicken broth. Now, I have found that if it gets a little too thick and I want it just a little bit thinner, I always buy 2 because this is 4 cups of chicken broth. And you're gonna need some white long grain rice. Now, this is 1.5 cups of long grain rice, but I soak mine in water so it cook quicker. Just a little trick that I use. I soak it in water for about 30 minutes so it will cook quicker for me. I'll drain the water off before I add it to the recipe, but I'm going to, I like for it to cook. Now we're going to get started. We're going to pour our oil into our pan. You're going to need a big pan because this is a large recipe. So you're going to need a big pan, either a big skillet or a stock pot pan. So I'm going to put my first 1.5 tablespoons of oil into my pot, and I'm going to turn it on. And we're going to cook the chicken and the sausages first. And then we're going to set it aside, and we're going to work on our vegetables. Yeah, make sure I stir this around so the oil can get on all my chicken and my sausages. I'm just going to leave this here and let it simmer and saute. While I am letting this cook, I'm going to prepare my tomatoes, my crushed tomatoes. Again, I could not find the crushed tomatoes, so I got some diced tomatoes. Plug in my immersion blender and get these tomatoes to going. Before I get my tomatoes going, I'm going to stir my chicken first though. I'll let you see what's going on in my pot. Some yummy stuff going in there. Now you're going to need, I'm not sure if I told you how many ounces this is. This is a 14.5 ounce can of crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes. So I'm going to use my immersion blender, and I'm going to put it on my lowest setting. I'm going to stick it down. I don't want them to become tomato sauce. I just want them crushed a little bit. All right, and now there are my crushed tomatoes. Let me let you see what's in my can. There's my crushed tomatoes. You see the consistency of that? It was diced, and now it's crushed. I'm just going to pour them off into my bowl. And now I have my crushed tomatoes. Almost done. Okay. My chicken wants to escape. Throw that in the sink. We're going to cook our chicken until it is done, because we're going to add this at the last minute. When the rice gets cooked, it's going to be added at the very end. So you want to make sure that your chicken is cooked from the beginning. Spices from the sausage are seasoning the chicken, so it's going to be a nice, flavorful chicken. And that's why I put seasoning on my shrimp, because it's the only thing the only meat in there that won't have like a good rich seasoning to it. I'm going to grab a bowl, because we're going to pour our chicken and sausages into the bowl and set it aside until, like I said, the end of the recipe. We are done with our chicken and our sausages. It is all cooked. Let me show you what's going on in my pot. There we go. I'm going to pour this into my bowl right here. We're going to save this for the end of our recipe. It's all nice and cooked and tender. And smelling good. Now, I'm going to add my other 1.5 tablespoons of oil into my pot. Because now we're going to do our vegetables. Make sure they're all good and yummy and Now, onions. And then we're going to do some celery. Remember, that's 1 medium onion chopped, 2 ribs of celery chopped. And we need our peppers. Now you can use all the same pepper. These are 3 small peppers that are chopped up. I use red, yellow, and green for color. But you can use all red, all green, or all yellow. So I'm going to put all of my peppers off in here. And I'm going to mince my garlic into my pot. Let me stir it up a little bit. Now, I'm going to mince my garlic using my microplane, and I'm going to mince my garlic into my pot. We need 4 cloves of garlic. Now, let me show you what I have going on in my pot. Cooking this on high. We want to cook this for 5 to 6 minutes so they can start till the onions start turning translucent. And when I say translucent, you can almost see through them, but not quite. Now, while I'm waiting on this to finish cooking, I'm going to drain the water from my rice. I soak my rice so that it will cook. It'll cook quicker. This is what I have in my pot. My rice is ready to roll. Now let me check. My onions and my vegetables are starting to cook down to where I want them to. Nice and yummy. Now, I'm going to add my tomatoes, my chicken broth. Put my tomatoes in there. Got my tomatoes. Add my thyme, the crushed thyme. I'm going to put my rice in here before I put my chicken broth in here and kind of stir it up a little bit. This is why you need a big pot, because that rice is going to expand, and then you have 3 meats to add to your pot too after you get done. So I'm going to stir this up, and I'm going to let you see what's in my pot before I add the chicken broth, because I don't want to waste the broth by bringing it to the camera. your favorite Cajun seasoning. You're gonna need about 2 tablespoons of your favorite Cajun seasoning. I'm gonna stir this up and let you see what's in my pot. And then I'm gonna add my chicken broth. This is what's in my pot. I have my peppers, my tomatoes, my onions and garlic and seasoning and rice. And now I'm going to add my broth and let it come to a simmer. Now this is 4 cups of broth. And I'm going to let it come to a simmer. And then I'm going to turn it down and just let it slow cook for about 30 minutes. Now, my rice is cooked. Let me show you what I have in my pot. What we have now, that's what's in my pot. Now it's time to add the shrimp, and then I'll add the okra. So I'm going to take my shrimp and pour it in here. I'm going to take my okra, add my bay leaf. You all know me. I can't add just one. I gotta have, there we go. I'm adding 2 bay leaves. We're gonna stir this around until the shrimp starts to turn pink. I'm adding my okra. There we go. We're just going to let that simmer for a few minutes so the shrimp can cook. And then we're going to be ready to add our sausage to it. I think our shrimp is ready now. That's what the shrimp look like. They are nice and pink. And now we're going to add our chicken and our andouille sausage. Over there. Now, a final look at what's in our pot. That's gonna be some good eating, y'all. Thank you for joining me today for another Recipes Galore. You can find this and other recipes on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/AskTheNanny. Now, while you're there, be sure to subscribe and like the recipe. I always put the ingredients down below in the description box. So, thanks again, and I'll see you for another Recipes Galore real soon.